All right, today we have the first video guest interview with Michelle. Michelle, where does the video podcast find you?
It finds me really excited to be chatting with you. I feel like you're my go-to for all things AI. Been thinking about it lately, and I want to share a little bit more about something funny that happened last weekend. But yeah, just super excited to be here, calling in from Kansas City, Missouri.
Nice. Yeah,
Mhm,
so for folks who are new, you were on when we were doing audio only.
mhm.
It feels like years ago now.
It kind of does, yeah.
Yeah, I'll link the episode in the description. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was a little over a year ago, and you were doing a lot of a lot of stuff, and you were focused on building up alcohol-free travel for women.
Yeah,
And I'd be interested to know how that went, where you're at with
yeah,
that now.
yeah, for sure. Thank you so much again for having me back. I love chatting with you, Andrew. Last time we talked, so I had worked in corporate for a really long time and made this interesting transition to the travel space after it being my passion for a long time. We've talked about travel, of course. And sometimes when you start to do things that you're very passionate about, it's not as fun anymore. And I feel like that's
100%.
such a bummer to say. But I learned so much from being in the travel industry, and everyone there is so crazy hospitable and kind and giving, and I really loved the people. Something that I noticed that actually kind of reminds me of the healthcare space is like how ancient the systems are and the technology and the infrastructure. And so it's just kind of like there has to be a better way to do
Yeah.
this. But in general, the thought was as I was learning about travel, what I was seeing was that people were equating high-end travel experiences to highly intoxicated. And I just have a lot of friends and acquaintances and peers who are starting to explore what life is like without alcohol.
Yeah.
And I wanted just to create these communities where we could still have amazing experiences overlooking the ocean and zip lining and massage and just like not be offered champagne.
Yeah.
And for the most part, the industry responded well, but as you know, there's a lot of money to be made in sales, and a lot of people are uncomfortable in new environments without a
Yeah.
crutch like alcohol. So, um, again, the response was great. I ended up going on a magnificent trip towards the end of the year to East Africa. I went to Uganda, Kenya, and Rwanda, and just after that, like obviously I was alcohol free, but after that, I was like, I just feel so fulfilled with what this experience has given me. I went trekking with gorillas, which you need to do. Like, and I'll go
Yeah.
with you. Like, we can go. After that, I was just like, I don't need anything else. So after that, was went through a breakup, and then I was just spent like the next couple months like figuring out what actually makes me happy. So that's where I'm at with the
Yeah.
travel. It's still a big part of my life and I love it, and it's something that I really enjoyed exploring, and I also don't think that people have to continue something if they're no longer enjoying it.
Right. Well, that's so interesting because I was a little surprised when we were talking last, and I think you nailed it. It's sometimes when you do something that you really enjoy as work, it's
Mhm,
fine because it's fun
mhm,
and you can
mhm,
continue to do it, and it
mhm,
doesn't become like laborious, but sometimes it
mhm.
does.
Yeah,
And then what I find is like, I've done this in the past. I know other people have too, but then it like eventually like that circuit in your brain burns out and then it no longer
mhm.
becomes fun. I kind of feel like sometimes that's me with technology.
Sure. I
I
bet.
used to really
I
love
bet.
like, experimenting with the next thing or trying
Yeah,
out the gadget or whatever. And now that it's become my full-time job for the past, I don't know, 20 something years.
yeah,
Sometimes it just feels it's really hard to get like reignited and passionate about stuff. The AI
yeah,
space is moving so fast. And I've been, working in that for so long that
yeah.
it's basically brand new. It's not, and it is in a lot of ways. So I
Mhm,
think it's kind of reignited my curiosity in that. endeavor, and it just also opens up so much more opportunity. There's a lot of debating on, you know, vibe coding and all this kind of, but I have coded in the past. It's not something I really enjoy. It's not something I'm particularly good at. But what I
Yeah,
found is like AI can do enough of the heavy lifting for me to like do a bulk of the work, so that I then am more of like refining it or kind of
sure.
coaching in the AI forward instead of having
Yeah,
to like do it. There's still a lot of thought work I have to put in, but I actually kind of enjoy that like architecture-y kind of stuff, and like
yeah,
building the big picture and then trying to like make that happen. And that, you know, lines up with product work pretty well too.
yeah.
But you mentioned you had an AI story. I'd be curious to hear.
Okay. Yes, and yes, and then I want to share something. So, I've been doing improv. That's something that I started when I got back from my trip.
Nice.
Um, yeah, I was reading two different books, and they both suggested like taking an improv class, and I was like, okay. And I did it, and I was like, I'm obsessed. And so, this past weekend, a theater hosted a Midwest Rant Championship.
Oh,
And I
okay.
was like, I can rant. Like, I was born for this. And I ended up making the finals. No big deal. I didn't win. I wasn't expecting to, but it was really cool. So what would
Yeah.
happen is the audience would give you a topic, and they had a wheel of emotion. So you got your topic and you spun the
Oh.
wheel. And so for the final round, I was given the topic of AI. And then and then my emotion, Andrew, was disgusted.
Nice.
Yeah. And so, uh, I say this as kind of a joke, but when AI first started getting popular, like just the A and then the I, like when I would see it, I thought it was A1,
Sure.
like the
Yeah.
steak sauce. And so for a long time, like when I would see headlines like, is A1 ethical? I was like, yeah, seriously, like just steak meat sauce. So I started with that, but I really did end up talking a lot about, I think in the writing space in general too, which is something I love and I know you do too, like it's so obvious to me when people are posting on Facebook and it's just straight from Chat GPT, like
Yep.
the journey question mark. It was long and hard, but worth it.
Yeah.
Did like I just so that was the funny story. And it's just all so crazy. It's all so crazy.
Well, congrats on finalizing, because
Thank
that
you.
I'm assuming was your first championship
It was.
run. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Thank you.
And I guess for folks who don't do improv, I mean, maybe give a little. You kind of talked through the mechanics a little bit, but it's not like
Yeah.
watching somebody with like a microphone telling jokes, right? It's a little
No.
different.
Yeah, it is. And something that I really like about improv that I've been learning is really it's just about being in the present moment
Hmm.
and responding to someone. So as you know, it's yes and. So someone says something and the response is yes and building upon that story. And I think that I am enjoying it so much because I'm there with people who aren't on their phones.
Hmm.
Big fan of that. And then we're just having fun. Like we're just using our imaginations again. And I feel like it is such an underrated skill
Yeah.
for people to use their brains in a creative way. You know what I mean?
Yep. There's a lot of brainless going on
Yeah.
in current society.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm on the road, people are driving like
Yeah.
this.
It's funny you say that, because I've also noticed more frequently, I would say in the last few months, it seems like there's much more distracted drivers. There's much more people who are obviously like glaring off to their phone, or like even holding it in their hand.
Yeah,
Like in Oregon, you can't touch your phone while the car is in motion, or it's you
that's
get a,
great.
yeah. But people then put it in their lap or whatever, and th're driving with their head
They're
down,
just
which is
driving
how
their
I
heads
drive, right?
straight. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but th- it's so funny because I just went to an improv show
Oh, cool.
a week ago.
Very cool.
I really like improv because
Yeah.
it requires people to be creative. There's participation. There's no one knows what's going to happen when you walk in the
Yes.
theater, and no one usually knows what's going to happen more than a few seconds in the
Mhm.
theater.
And no
Uh,
one knows what just happened. Like,
yeah, and
everyone's like,
like
what?
there's cultural elements and there's, a context of stuff, a lot of current
Sure.
event type things, but like
Of
it's
course.
still, it's pretty unknown. Versus like a stand up, people come in, it's like you kind of have to like the comedian, you have to like the style.
Yeah.
Um, but it's funny because I've been told by many people that I should do improv. And
Do
I
it.
always joke with people that I can't be like family friendly enough to,
Go to a late
to
show.
do a
Stay up late
get
two
heckled by the
nights a
drunk
week.
people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So how many like classes did you have to do with for improv to like
I'm
get
still
the
in it. I'm
yeah?
on a team now.
Oh,
So we
cool.
had a show last weekend. My parents came. That was a blast.
Awesome.
I yeah, I don't know how to describe it. Like it's so silly, it's so random. I'm also highly inappropriate. And sometimes as a female, people are like, "Did you just say that?" I'm like, "I'm so sorry. Like I just
Yeah.
can't help it." Um, but I feel like I've always just been like this weirdo, and I keep putting myself in situations where I have to be this like proper person, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be. Like I'm weird as and like I just love it, and I still feel like I'm the weird person there,
Yeah.
but it feels really safe to just be like, "You know what, Billy? You're not getting highlights today." Like
Yeah.
just say
Yeah.
whatever you want and expressing yourself. That's another thing I've been noticing lately is I feel like people aren't expressing themselves in the same
Yeah.
way, or they're doing it a curated expression, which isn't natural. So,
100%. There's a lot of
yeah,
self-censoring going on in our
yeah,
current society, and it's actually just talking about this last night that I'm increasingly concerned about. Um, the everybody I think probably knows 1984 about the dystopian authoritarian government imposing all
hmm
sorts of crazy
hmm
rules on society
hmm
and technological surveillance. But Brave New World was a book that was written around the same time, took a slightly different spin on it, where the dystopian kind of authoritarianistic society is self-imposed by the people of the society. So it's not like a repressive government, it's the people demanding that these uh, dystopian ideas, I guess, would be done. And it's funny because I see that happening on kind of both sides of the political spectrum. Like one is very
sure,
authoritarian, like these are the rules, go do it. The other side is like you can't say things that might offend people or people might not like, which then creates self-censorship. And I'm not saying be an
hmm
asshole, but when you take the approach of self-censorship, you just have to assume like basically the worst all the time, that if I say something, if I say this, people might be offended, so I won't say it. And then
hmm
what ends up happening is you don't ever have conflict, and if you don't ever have conflict, you can't actually resolve anything. On the opposite
100%.
side, nobody wants to be told what to do.
No,
And there's so much more options on how to run our society. And we were talking
yeah,
about this a little bit last week with AI, that the we're not having a debate about AI. And what I've kind of reasoned in the last few days has been we're still arguing about the old issues. Like we're
mm,
still arguing about the turn of the century. Like labor laws are still debatable. Why are they debating? Right? We
yeah,
have machines to do all this work. And if you look at the amount of progress we've made as a society, the amount of output, GDP has gone just bananas. And then if you look at the amount of effort people spend per week working, it's also gone bananas. But then if you
yeah,
look at how much they actually earn, it's almost non-existent compared to the gains in GDP. And then there's a small
yeah,
group of people at the top who are reaping in most of the rewards.
yeah,
And it's not even political, it's just the data.
sure,
And so one of the things I postulated last week was the AI is like, what if we used AI to gain productivity, but then didn't fill that with more meaningless work? What if we just,
mm,
instead of, if I can get my job done in 6 hours with AI, I get Friday off, or I get 2 hours back in my life.
yeah,
Like that's how the professional knowledge work is supposed to be. Like there's jobs where you have to be at the front desk at the greeting area for the company because people are coming in. Okay,
sure,
that's maybe AI is going to replace that. I don't know. But you're
sure,
probably not going to be able to do that. But almost, what is it, 60 or 70% of our economy is knowledge work.
Yeah.
And I always postulate for folks, what could we be doing that's not sitting at a computer or working at doing paper shuffling or whatever? And like improv
Hmm.
is a great example. And what I'm hopeful for, the AI slop is, this Sora 2, I think I sent you some stuff where it's,
So funny.
we're in a world now where you can't believe anything you see or hear.
Yeah.
And what I'm hoping is that it fries this notion of the digital world so much that people will go back to in-person stuff.
Hmm.
We talked a little bit about this last time, I think, with people going out to dinner on their phone, and like you're saying,
Yeah.
you're seeing people driving on their phone. It's like it's not getting
Yeah.
better.
No.
The awareness is getting more, but it's really encouraging to hear like improv, and I'm assuming a lot of people showed up
Yeah.
to improv too. So it's like, you don't have to be an improv person, but you're not on your phone. Hopefully during the show, you're getting entertained by humans. You're sharing in a
Hmm.
moment in reality that you can't,
Yeah.
yeah, you can watch a recorded improv performance, but it's not nearly as good as being there, right?
Definitely not. Let me ask, I'm wondering, is there anything about AI that like truly scares you?
People using it.
So people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The technology is what it is.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, it's like everything else. And I guess for folks who might not understand that, a hammer can be used to pound in a nail. It can be used to hurt somebody. It could be used to break glass. It could be used to break an object, but we design it to pound nails.
Hmm.
But we're not really concerned about hammer use in society, right?
Sure.
If someone attacks somebody with a hammer, then sure, but we're not going to
Yeah.
go lock up all the hammers in the hardware store, probably.
Yeah.
Um, with AI, it's a little bit different. So I am very concerned with the power of the tool that people don't quite understand. But to give you probably a real answer or a better answer, I am legitimately concerned about people using it because it gives
Okay.
people power that they probably shouldn't have and they don't understand.
Yeah.
But the thing I'm really concerned about with AI is the way that you make the model has a lot of variability and a lot of choice behind it.
Mm.
And so that's called like grounding it or the weights of the model. So what does the model pay attention to? Like how do you,
Mhm.
if you just feed it all the information in humanity, there has to be a sense making mechanism.
Sure.
And so that is what the result will be shaped through. And so a really easy example of this is AI models coming out of China don't talk about the Tiananmen Square incident. Just don't acknowledge it. It's not because it doesn't exist. It's not because they didn't train it on that data. It's that somebody made a conscious choice to program the model or influence the model and how it interprets or how it responds to not respond about that or to
Yeah.
respond favorably for the Chinese government. Conversely, in America, it's not a free open space either. All the companies are making choices about what the models will produce, what they won't produce, how they sound. This is something that's really irritating me. Is everything is just so over positive. Every time
Mm.
I work with AI all day long, that's the greatest idea ever. Is it though? Is it really? I don't
Yeah.
think it is. I know it's
Yeah.
not, but I'm so
Yeah.
sick of it. But that's a conscious choice made by people,
Okay.
and there's no transparency on that. And we're not even talking about this kind of stuff. It's just the AI. The AI is magic. Well, no, there's a lot of very smart people who spend a lot of time trying to figure out how do we effectively manipulate the model to make it do something. It's the same as an algorithm. What do you
Yeah.
want the outcome to be? And a really easy way to explain why we need to do this is because we don't want the AI telling people how to make biological weapons at home or chemical weapons or how to build, a nuclear bomb.
Sure.
Those kind of things we should agree on that are bad. And given enough knowledge on chemistry, it's pretty easy to manufacture a lot of this stuff.
Sure.
And so we've decided to gate that, away, which is probably a good thing. But we need to have a conversation in society about, you know, how do we want the morality of the models to be, and how do we want like the legal rule following to be, the law following.
Hmm.
And we're not even close to having that conversation because we're still arguing about, should people work 40 hours a week? Should you have health insurance? I mean, to me, these questions, it's always politicized and who pays or how much, but it's anybody who's ever been sick wants help fundamentally, right? And
Yeah.
like who pays for it, you can get all hand wavy and principle and ideological and whatever, but
Yeah.
the fact that we haven't even settled the debate on like everybody should have access to healthcare and like how we're going to do that is the hard part. But
Yeah.
we've gone back to this, you shouldn't have access.
Mm.
It just blows my mind, right? It's like we as a human race have created a technology that by a lot of measures is smarter than any individual person. Like there's certain things AI doesn't do well for sure, but like
Yeah.
from a knowledge, how do I know something? It's miraculous, and it makes mistakes just like people do too.
It
It's not
does.
perfect, but
No.
that's the big thing that scares me is we're not having a conversation on how the guardrails or how we're grounding quote unquote these models to
Hmm.
output things.
Hmm. Something that I recognized, gosh, maybe this was like 6 or 7 months ago. So, was starting a new relationship and a lot of things can always like come up for me. And I had just started using ChatGPT for my work. And I was just like, you ChatGPT, like this person said this. What should I say back? Knowing all of this about me. Here's my history. Like I want to respond from a grounded place. Like,
Yeah.
and then it started showing me ads
Hmm.
for prenup agreements.
Oh, interesting.
And I asked it, like, why are you showing me these ads for prenups? Like, and it was like, oh, I just thought that it might be helpful for you. And it was just the strangest thing. Like, it was one of those moments I was in a park and I just feel like, oh, like it was one of those, like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, wow. And I think you can tell a lot about a person about the way they talk to their AI, which is not a good look for me because
Hmm.
what I said to it was like, never effing show me that again.
Yeah.
Never show me an ad again. Whereas my boyfriend now, when he talks to his AI, he's like, oh, sorry, I meant could you provide? And I'm like, how are you so stupid? So what do you see in the future in terms of like
Yeah.
ads? Like, because obviously, I mean, we see it in blogs, YouTube, like, is that going to be big?
It's it's interesting because the models tend to respond better when you're like mean or
Okay, is
what.
this
Yeah, like
great?
very straightforward, very direct, and then not polite, because politeness, they've gotten better, but politeness tends to confuse them for some reason or skew the interpretive results. And
So
I'm sure
interesting.
that'll get kind of sorted as we go
Sure.
forward. I mean, if you think about it mathematically, you're introducing variability by because you well, this is really complicated to try to explain. Like when you communicate verbally or non-verbally, there's a lot of additional context that we're taking in as humans that we don't. A lot of people don't comprehend, or you pick out little pieces.
Hmm.
When you write, a lot of times it's hard to convey emotion, so we have language to try to describe emotion, or you can sometimes tell from like if it's physically written, how somebody's writing or
Yeah,
punctuation. There's different ways to kind of convey, but it's still largely interpretive, and we're losing a large part of the intonation from the voice, the body language, the even just like the chemical smell of being around people. If you're really angry, people smell
totally.
differently or like put off different scents, and not me,
Sure.
people don't understand that, but like fear is like a smell. It's weird. So all of that goes in. A lot of this we're not even conscious of, but then we make these
Yeah.
determinations. Whereas, when so now you have a basically a computer program. These things aren't alive. You shouldn't feel bad about talking bad to the machine. Like you shouldn't
Hmm.
feel good about it, but it's like it's
Is
a
it?
computer program at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
You shouldn't really feel, period. It'd be like,
Sure.
do you feel with your blender? Like your blender might make you something you like, but like, and maybe the act of cooking gives you joy, but like
Yeah.
the specific thing that you're like the spoon or the blender, you shouldn't have an emotional connection with, right? It's a
Oh,
physical
that's
object.
so interesting.
Like
Yeah.
aesthetics is different. You can appreciate the beauty of the blender or the
Of-
craftsmanship of the blender. It
Totally.
can inspire emotion, So there's a whole thing there to talk through. But um, what I'm fearful for, it's kind of like our generation where we grew up in a world where the internet wasn't a thing for part of our life, and then it was kind
Mm-hmm.
of crappy and no one really used it, but it existed,
Mm-hmm.
and then it got
Mm-hmm.
like really ubiquitous, right? It's literally in your pocket. So we're a weird generation. It's same with radio. People who grew up with radio, like there was no way to really distantly communicate other than letters. It took weeks or months.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you could transmit across the continent in a few minutes. You could transmit across the world in a couple hours. That really changed. People before didn't really get it. People after didn't know what it was like. Yeah, you had letters, but you didn't depend on it.
Yeah.
TV was kind of the same way. So we're in that weird generation with the internet as the core technology. Social media is another thing, right? So we grew up in a world without social media. We grew up in the world where social media was confined to your like local community, whatever you want to call it. Like when I first started joined Facebook, I'd have a .edu email that used to be
Mm.
just for colleges, and it was only at some
Sure.
colleges. It's expanded, and then everybody got on it.
Yeah.
And now it's ubiquitous. Everything you do on the internet is going through some kind of social algorithm. They're putting you in a social graph, trying to sell you ads, right? And so, like your thing with the prenup example, it's like
Yeah.
I don't think the technology is necessarily spying on you. It very well could be, but it's also like you're probably reading or searching for different information, which then puts you in a graph. And then there's different technologies to share different graphs across. This is why Facebook is so toxic, because if people think, well, it's only looking at what I do on Facebook. No, it's looking at what you do across the internet and then feeding you in.
Yeah.
So there's now people who kind of grew up with that and without it, but they're all in technology. And now we're in another phase where we have AI, which is this effectively constantly dynamic, constantly changing algorithm
Mm-hmm.
that knows more and more and more and more about you. And the people who are interacting with it now, who grew up with critical thinking or having to do math
Yes.
by hand, or those reading, have the skills. But what I'm afraid of is that we're not going to have those skills in the younger generation as it
Yeah.
becomes ubiquitous everywhere.
Yeah.
And the difference between like a radio and a TV is you have to like seek that out, and like you can turn the TV off, or like you can choose not to have one. With the AI, it's a little different in that it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's the first technology that I think we've ever developed as humans that has the ability to create unpredictable or unknown things to us.
Mm-hmm.
It's not random. Like we got pretty good at random in
For
computers, right?
sure.
If you play a computer game, random happens. It's pretty
Yeah.
easy to random, but it's effectively randomly generated with an intended purpose to do whatever you're asking it to or respond to what you're doing. And I
Yeah.
don't know of another technology that is anywhere close to that, just period. So like no human has really experience with this. I could be wrong. I haven't thought frankly too deeply about it,
Yeah.
but so now we're putting that in front of kids who are developing, and like we know smoking
Yes.
cigarettes as a child is bad. We know drinking alcohol as a pregnant woman or as a child is bad because it hurts your brain development. But we just throw them on an iPad when they're 1 or 2 now, and that them up. And we wonder why
Yeah.
everybody has ADD, because they're
Yes.
flipping through,
Because they're
you
not
know,
able to be uncomfortable. No
right.
one's no one's able to sit in discomfort.
100%. And so AI is just going to make that, I think, worse. Like maybe not. I
Yes.
could I could be
I don't
wrong,
know.
but
Yeah.
I think we're going to up a generation before we figure out that. I'm not saying we need to get rid of AI, but like there might be a thing where we have to go back to, like, I'm sure you were when you were in school, like calculators were a thing, right? But like we didn't get to use calculators until a certain point because we had to learn the
Yeah.
technology of math and paper
Yeah.
and pencil and figuring it out. And
Yeah.
then once we kind of demonstrate that skill. Now, do I remember that skill? Nah, probably not.
It's like riding a bike. You would figure it
Yeah,
out.
but
You're a
exactly.
smart man. Yeah.
Right. And if I had to figure it out, I could. But I
Sure.
also have whatever those brain pathways that I developed to
Yeah.
figure out that process
Yeah.
is how your brain builds on other stuff. And if we don't
Yeah.
have those pathways, or we're not challenging people, I'm very afraid of how that develops, how humans develop going forward, because we're really,
Yeah.
really, really good at finding easy.
Yes. Easy and productive. I think that a lot of people find value and worthiness in being productive and like no shame, no
Yeah,
judgment. I think it's at the risk of impacting your creativity, which
100%.
to me is what creates a thriving life and fulfilling. And some people might not even desire that or know that they desire that. But I just feel like after being sober for so long, like, and then truly anticipating the needs of a human, like, what does a human need? And obviously, this argument has been stated so many times, but like, we have not evolved as fast as technology has.
Right.
And so they're incongruent, like, they're not matching. And so we were never supposed to have access to all this information. We were supposed to know like 12 people tops. Do
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? And so it puts us in this position where we're constantly comparing. If we're not working on something, we feel like we're garbage. We see other people creating these beautiful lives with who knows what's actually the truth. And then now we're able to be in communication with this tool that again is providing value. I'm not saying it's
Yep.
not, but at the risk of losing yourself. And that's what
Yeah.
I love about writing is like you can have a conversation with yourself. And I just want more people to be doing that before they're seeking external resources to
100%.
supplement whatever they're looking for.
And it forces you to slow down if you're
Yes.
actually writing. Like keyboard
Yes.
writing and like pencil or pen writing are different pathways in your brain.
Yes.
And I think the next step on once you learn how to write and like literally get your ideas out, the natural progression is like, how do I do this better? Right? How do
Hmm.
I write less
Hmm.
and be more to the point, which then starts forcing you thinking and critical
Hmm.
thought of how do
Yeah.
I take this idea and this abstract thing and put it down on paper or put it, however you're putting it out there
Yeah.
so that it's shorter or more concise, or you can use that to then build on something more complex. And it
Yes.
sounds kind of crazy to explain writing, but it's like, I guess we have to, because I don't think they
Yeah.
teach handwriting anymore to children.
I don't think they do either, which is scary. And something else that just came to mind too is like I think that we value AI's perspective and responses more than our own. And so we put more
Sure.
trust into this. So it's like, what should I do about this problem that I'm having?
Yeah.
Whereas most of the time, the answers already exist within ourselves. And I just feel like we're robbing ourselves of self esteem when we put emphasis on something external to make decisions on our behalf
Yeah.
for things that impact us at a soul level. And again, I'm not saying that AI is bad, but I'm desiring and I love having a completely fulfilled, joyful life. And I want that for other people, of course, but so those are just my brief
Well,
observations about
yeah.
it all.
And I see it getting worse. And like, I'm not trying to doom and gloom either,
No.
but it, to your point on like a lot of like the age old advice, so to speak, is still true. And it's age
Hmm.
old because it's about more of the human condition than
Hmm.
any like specific thing.
Hmm.
And AI is more knowledgeable than most people about most things.
Yes.
And so part of it, I think, is like you just don't know what you don't know. And so it's a little bit
Hmm.
miraculous that it puts the context there. But it's also designed to be very confident. And when it's wrong, that's very dangerous.
Yes.
And I think to your point on self esteem or self worth boosting, I guess, I would say we could be changing how AI works. We could have AI walk you through something instead of just stating, what should I do about blank
Hmm.
answer? It could be, here are the considerations that you might want to look at, or
Hmm.
some other sort of, externalizing factor. And here are, based on my assumptions, which would be blank, here's what I think you should do, or here's 3 options, or here's 4 options, or here's, you know, something you could do differently. There's all
Yeah.
sorts of formulaic ways to do this stuff, and those are the conversations I want us to be having in society. Is you know, given the choice, most people won't choose to do it, but the default right now is so. I guess the easy way to put it is the default today is to keep you in ChatGPT as long as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Their outcome for the product is to keep you in it, not to give you the best advice, not to tell you you can figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just leave the rant there.
Yeah.
We've kind of talked through a lot in a little bit of time, but I think for folks who made it this far, we're trying to get shorter videos, shorter podcasts in general. I'm always down for long form, but I think the way the algorithm works to try to feed it to it just long form content just doesn't work very well. So I think I'll post this in its entirety, and then what I've been doing is like breaking it up for folks too if they want to just look at the snippets. But I always like to end. Is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have?
I love your questions. No, I love chatting. I love being here. I really appreciate your perspective on this, and I'm looking forward to you investigating and being super conscious about what are the conversations that we need to be having.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Let's talk again sooner.
Would love that.
All right. Take care.
Okay, bye.
You can find us at 3reate.com. It's like the word create, but with a 3 instead of the C. As always, we encourage you to listen, watch, do. We'll see you next time. You can support this podcast at patreon.com/3reate or at ko-fi.com/3reate. Thanks for listening.